Hi, my name is Star, and I'm going to be talking about a couple movies that absolutely destroyed me mentally. And what I mean by that is movies that made me cry the most. The first movie is Cleveland Abduction. So, this movie is unfortunately based off of a real story of this woman named Michelle Knight. She and basically two other girls she knew were kidnapped and tortured and repeatedly R-worded for over a decade. One of the girls even ended up giving birth in captivity. This is absolutely a devastating story, especially for Michelle, because Michelle also was abused and neglected as a kid, and then she was abused again as an adult. Michelle endured the most physical abuse, while Amanda Berry, she unfortunately endured the more sexual abuse, and so did Gina. Gina also endured a lot of the physical and sexual abuse. All three of the girls were physically, sexually, and emotionally abused by a man named Ariel Castro, who kidnapped three of them, not at the same time, but a year apart, I believe they were kidnapped. Michelle was the first one, Amanda was the second one, and Gina was the third one to get kidnapped. What's really sad is that Ariel Castro had kicked Michelle Knight so many times in the stomach that she miscarried a baby a total of 5 or 6 times. The damage to her reproductive system is unfortunately irreversible, and even though she wants to have kids, she's not able to because of him. Next is the Karen Carpenter story. Now, since the majority of my audience is at least 18 to 25 years old, you guys probably don't know who Karen Carpenter is, and I really don't blame you. Karen Carpenter was one of the most famous singers from the 60s all the way up to the 80s. She unfortunately battled with very severe anorexia to the point where she had suppositories, laxatives, diuretics, you name it. Unfortunately, the movie is based off of a real person, and she died at the ripe age of 30, which is too young to die. What's even more sad is that Karen Carpenter refused to get help and treatment for her severe eating disorder. Personally, the reason why this one really resonates really deeply with me is because I battle with the eating disorder every day, similar to anorexia. Except there are more components of OCD mixed in, as well as components of anorexia mixed into the eating disorder I have, which is called ARFID, which means Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. What's really sad is that Karen Carpenter, when she died of either multi-organ failure or her heart failed. I don't remember which one, but I know for sure her death was caused by her eating disorder. And it's really sad that such a young and talented young woman died in such a really horrible way. Back then, there wasn't as many treatment options for eating disorders either. So there was kind of a very low chance she would have survived. She did try to get well at one point, but one relapse killed her. The final movie I want to talk about is Violation of Trust, which in my opinion is one of the most underrated true crime movies. It is based off of a real girl named Justine who almost basically got blamed for her friend Nikki's murder. Basically, she was trying to help Nikki calm down after an argument where Nikki ended up slapping her. Both Justine and her friend, her best friend and her boyfriend, tried to calm her down and try to find her in the woods, but Nikki fell down a hill and they went to get help, but by the time they came back to the hill, she was gone. Later on in the movie, it was revealed that her own father killed her. Well, it was her stepfather, but still equally as fucked up. What's really absolutely disgusting is that her stepfather was in a relationship with his own stepdaughter, which is absolutely fucking nasty. Oh, and don't worry, it gets more fucked up. Turns out he killed her because she was pregnant with his child. But yeah, those are the 3 movies, like, based off of true crimes that happened that absolutely destroyed me mentally when I watched them.